There's something I've noticed when talking to friends and family over 60. Many of them tell me they're doing everything right when it comes to their health. They're taking their vitamins, maybe even doing some light exercise, and trying to eat well. But then, they still feel those little aches and pains creeping in. Or worse, they get news from their doctor that their bones aren't as strong as they should be. And that's when the confusion sets in. "But I'm doing everything I'm supposed to," they say. Well, here's the thing. Sometimes it's not just about what you add to your diet, but what you might be eating without even realizing it's working against you. In fact, there's one food that's so common, so everyday, that nearly 90% of seniors eat it regularly, and it could be quietly sabotaging their bone health. Now, I'm not here to scare you or make you feel like you've been doing something wrong. My goal is to empower you with the knowledge to make simple, effective changes that can help keep your bones strong and healthy for years to come. Because let's face it, none of us want to worry about fractures, stiffness, or losing our independence just because of something we didn't know was hiding in our diets. So, what is this food? Well, before we get to that, let's talk about why bone health becomes such a big deal after 60. You see, as we age, our bones naturally lose some of their density. It's just part of the process. But certain foods can speed up that loss, making our bones weaker and more fragile than they need to be. And the scary part? This particular food is something most of us don't even think twice about. It's in our pantries, our fridges, maybe even on our plates right now. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Is it sugar? Processed foods? Red meat? Those are all good guesses, and yes, they can play a role. But the number one worst food for bone health after 60 is something far more subtle. It's something many of us were even told was healthy for years. Let me ask you this. Do you start your morning with a nice warm bowl of cereal, or maybe a slice of toast with jam? If so, you're not alone. But here's where things get tricky. The biggest culprit when it comes to weakening bones isn't necessarily the cereal or the bread itself. It's what's hidden in so many of these everyday foods: refined salt. Now, I know salt doesn't sound as scary as sugar or processed fats, but here's the problem. When we consume too much refined salt, the kind found in packaged foods, canned soups, deli meats, and even some healthy snacks, our bodies start to lose calcium at a faster rate. And calcium, as you probably know, is the building block of strong bones. So every time we eat a meal high in refined salt, we're essentially robbing our bones of the very thing they need to stay sturdy. But here's the good news. This isn't a life sentence. You don't have to give up flavor or resign yourself to bland meals. There are simple, delicious ways to cut back on refined salt without feeling like you're missing out. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about next. How to spot hidden salt in your diet, and what to replace it with so you can protect your bones while still enjoying every bite. Because here's the truth. You can take control of your bone health. It starts with being aware, making a few smart swaps, and knowing that even small changes can make a big difference over time. So, let's keep going and talk about how to do just that. You might be wondering, how much salt is too much? After all, our bodies do need some sodium to function properly. It helps with nerve signals, muscle contractions, and even balancing fluids. But here's the catch. Most of us are getting way more than we need, and that's where the trouble starts. The average senior consumes about 3,400 milligrams of sodium per day. That's nearly 50% more than the recommended limit of 2,300 milligrams. And if you have high blood pressure or other health concerns, doctors often suggest keeping it under 1,500 milligrams. But here's the sneaky part. Only about 11% of that sodium comes from the salt shaker on your table. The rest, it's hiding in foods you'd never suspect. Take canned vegetables, for example. You might think you're making a healthy choice by grabbing a can of green beans or peas, but just one serving can pack in 400 milligrams of sodium or more. And let's be honest, who stops at just half a cup? Then, there's bread. A single slice might not seem like much, but with around 150 milligrams per slice, a sandwich quickly adds up. Even foods labeled low-fat or heart-healthy can be loaded with extra salt to make up for lost flavor. So, what can you do about it? The first step is to become a label detective. Next time you're at the grocery store, take a few extra seconds to check the sodium per serving on the nutrition facts. If a single serving has more than 140 milligrams, it's considered low sodium. But many processed foods exceed that by 5 or 6 times. A good rule of thumb? If the sodium content is higher than the calories per serving, that's a red flag. Now, I know what you're thinking. If I cut out all these foods, what's left? Don't worry. You won't be stuck eating plain lettuce for the rest of your life. There are plenty of delicious bone-friendly alternatives. Instead of canned soups, try making your own with fresh vegetables and herbs. Swap out deli meats for roasted chicken or turkey you prepare at home. And when it comes to seasoning, experiment with garlic, lemon juice, black pepper, or even a dash of vinegar to bring out flavors without relying on salt. But here's something else to consider. It's not just about avoiding salt. It's about replacing it with nutrients that actively support your bones. One of the best ways to counteract sodium's effects is by eating more potassium-rich foods. Potassium helps your kidneys flush out excess sodium, and it also plays a key role in bone density. Foods like bananas, sweet potatoes, spinach, and beans are all fantastic choices. Calcium and vitamin D are obviously crucial too, but potassium is the unsung hero in this battle for bone strength. Now, let's talk about one of the biggest sodium traps of all: eating out. Restaurant meals, even at so-called healthy places, are often loaded with salt. Chefs use it to enhance flavors, and a single dish can sometimes contain your entire day's worth of sodium in one sitting. That doesn't mean you have to give up dining out entirely. Just be strategic. Ask for dressings and sauces on the side. Choose grilled over fried options, and don't be shy about requesting no added salt. Most restaurants are happy to accommodate. The bottom line? You don't have to eliminate salt completely. Just outsmart it. Small, mindful changes can drastically reduce your sodium intake without making meals feel restrictive. And the payoff? Stronger bones, better energy, and the peace of mind that comes from knowing you're taking care of your body in a way that truly matters. So, now that we've uncovered where hidden salt lurks and how to avoid it, let's talk about the final piece of the puzzle: how to make these changes stick without feeling overwhelmed. Now, I know that making changes to your diet, even small ones, can sometimes feel overwhelming. After all, food isn't just about nutrition. It's tied to memories, comfort, and daily routines. The thought of giving up favorite meals or spending hours cooking from scratch might make you wonder, is this really worth it? But here's the good news. Protecting your bone health doesn't have to mean a complete overhaul overnight. In fact, the most successful changes happen gradually, one smart swap at a time. Think of it like this. If you've spent decades enjoying certain foods, your taste buds have adapted to crave that saltiness. But the beautiful thing about our bodies? They're incredibly adaptable. When you slowly reduce sodium, your palate will adjust. Foods you once thought tasted bland will start to burst with natural flavors you never noticed before. Let's start with breakfast, since that's where many of us fall into the salt trap without realizing it. Instead of reaching for that box of cereal, which can have as much sodium as a bag of chips, try oatmeal topped with fresh fruit and a sprinkle of cinnamon. Not only is it naturally low in sodium, but the fiber will keep you full longer, and the potassium in bananas or berries helps balance sodium's effects. If toast is your go-to, choose whole grain options with no added salt and top it with avocado or almond butter instead of salted butter or processed spreads. Lunch and dinner are where hidden salt really sneaks in. So here's a simple trick. Build your meals around whole, single-ingredient foods. A grilled chicken breast, a baked potato with the skin on, and steamed broccoli might sound basic, but when seasoned with herbs and a squeeze of lemon, it's far from boring, and your bones will thank you. When you do use packaged foods, like broth or canned beans, look for labels that say no salt added or low sodium. Rinsing canned veggies or beans under water for just a minute can wash away up to 40% of the excess salt. Now, let's talk snacks, because this is where many well-intentioned seniors get tripped up. Pretzels, crackers, even some healthy rice cakes can be sodium landmines. Instead, try unsalted nuts, like almonds or walnuts, which are packed with bone-supporting magnesium, or crunchy veggies with hummus. If you miss the savory crunch of chips, kale chips baked with a touch of olive oil and garlic powder are a fantastic alternative.